Hi folks, this is Jay. Hope you're okay today. We're going to look at a video by Crocoduck just for a few minutes. King Crocoduck, and then I'm just going to reply. He's going to be swearing a bit. It's quite horrendous, so just be warned.
Hello and welcome to the fucking fundamentalist fucker. Today we will be examining the mendacities regurgitated by a Mr. coming out of atheism, aka Mr. Burns. You are probably familiar with my recent video, The Theory of Gravity. It caught the attention of the despicable charlatan who is starring in this episode, which to my surprise has to be published so soon after the pilot episode. So let's get started. He commented, "Silly video bro, lacks scholarship," to which I replied, "Elaborate please." "Oh well, Crocoduck, first thing is you have not linked to any articles for or against what you say. A good scholar would do that. I have often given good links for and against what I say. I do not do it as much these days as the atheists never bothered to check the facts." Now my video referred only to the universally accepted concepts of Newtonian mechanics and general relativity. I was perplexed as to why anyone would want a citation regarding these well-understood concepts, but then I remembered that this is a fundamentalist that I'm speaking to. Nevertheless, I responded with my opinion of his critique, while concurrently addressing some citations that he posted. In the interest of time, I will not go over each individual quote. I will, however, summarize the point that he was trying to make. He wanted me to accept the position that science is not entirely objective. To that statement, I have only this to say. Bullshit. Fucking bullshit. You may have quote-mined a couple of philosophers, one of whom was actively involved in chemistry, but you will find that the overwhelming majority of the scientific community accepts the position that science is objective. I don't expect you to understand this, however, Jason, seeing as the degree that you so proudly and blithely waved in my face was not a scientific discipline, but in theology. A side note about theology. While I have respect for the discipline itself, it becomes an ad hoc study if it is not approached objectively. Needless to say, Mr. Burns here clearly did not approach theology in an objective manner. I digress. There is a simple proof for the objectivity of science. First, the following axiom must be accepted. The universe is objectively real. Once you accept that, you can proceed to demonstrate that a certain method of learning about it is objective. That is to say, your method must work. In the case of science and mathematics, indeed it does. Science. It works, bitches. Those like Mr. Burns who are willing to deny the veracity of science may as well stop using medication, transportation, and the modern conveniences that scientific naturalism have blessed him with.
So, there we are. That's King Crocoduck. Okay. So I'll just see how long we've got to well, where do we start, King Crocoduck? First of all, I have to take you up on the language, and the way you're talking to me is pretty not nice, mate. And you know, if you read John Stuart Mill's On Liberty, a book that had a powerful impact on me, it talks about the majority and the minority, and the importance of having a minority because the majority might be wrong. And what that means is you've got to always have a respect for those in your democracy who you might think are wrong, but might be able one day to show you that you're actually wrong. And so it's important that you show respect to each other in a democratic state. So the kind of way you're talking to me shows a horrendous lack of respect, and I don't think it bodes well for democracy, because you're never willing to have the possibility that you could be challenged on something, and that's not a good thing in democracy, mate. The second thing I want to say is I give citations of Michael Polanyi and Gadamer. I have Gadamer's Truth of Method here. Okay. I studied Michael Polanyi at seminary, so it's not like a fallacious argument or anything that I've just quote-minded. You know, I studied Michael Polanyi at seminary, and also Gadamer Truth and Method when I was doing MA at Luther King House. So I have read these people, I have studied these people, and you failed to actually respond to these people, and it was important because of your video was a lot about method and the issues of method, and you failed to grapple with those issues and the philosophy of science that these scholars I quoted to you could have added to the discussion and debate. The fact that you didn't enter into the discussion and debate with these scholars is not a good thing, Crocoduck. I'm sorry, mate. The third thing I want to say is, you said the proof that science is objective is first the universe is objective. I don't think any scientist would actually say the universe is objectively real. You know, you're in the realm of the philosophy of science there, mate. What scientists would say is the universe could be objectively real, it could be an illusion. What matters is we just go off, we do our investigations, we get our scientific knowledge, and if it works, then that is the criterion for what is probably correct. Probably correct. Alright? So again, a lack of sophistication on your part on the philosophy of science. You said that you take for granted that the universe is objectively real. Science doesn't take for granted that the universe is objectively real. It doesn't make any statement about the nature of reality. If it did, that would lead into the philosophy of science and epistemology. Well, that's a different thing, Crocoduck. Sorry, that's a different thing, Crocoduck, from hard science. All right. The next thing is, you said that it's objectively true because it actually works. Something works in science, then it's objectively true. Well, again, that's not quite correct. If you look at the history of pragmatism, right at the beginning of the history of pragmatism, through to William James and John Dewey, take William James. He used his pragmatism to try to help religion have some kind of viability within democracy. So he was using his scientific understanding and scientific method for a particular purpose in giving religious people some kind of kudos within democracy. Then if you look at John Dewey, he took his pragmatism and he wanted to develop a democratic state, and so he used his scientific methodology, which was pragmatism, to produce that. So in other words, what we're seeing is two people using the scientific method, but before they even do the scientific method, they have a particular purpose in hand for the knowledge that they want to gain and use. Alright, so it's the purpose. For Dewey, it's the democratic purpose, alright, which influences his scientific pragmatism. For William James, it's helping religious viability. That's why he's using pragmatism, alright, scientific method. So in other words, you know, just because it works doesn't mean to say it's not being influenced by people's desires of using that knowledge. You know, John Dewey wanted to develop a democratic state, so he's using his pragmatism to find evidence and information and ways of knowing and ways of doing that will suit that purpose. So he's already changing the information to suit his purpose, and the same with William James. Alright, so that's two examples. You could give many examples, but also just because something works as well doesn't make it right, doesn't make it true. You know, I can have a theory or belief that is completely not correct about the environment that I live in, but it actually works. It actually seems to be working, but then someone comes along and gives a better model. Alright, so the criteria that something works doesn't necessarily mean that it is true or objectively true. Alright, it just means that for utility purposes it seems to be producing benefits at the present time. Alright. So and then the third thing is the whole issue of the philosophy of science, that there's Kuhn, there's Michael Polanyi, there's Gadamer, there's Karl Popper, and there's a whole raft of issues about verification, about methodology in the philosophy of science. It's very complex, many different opinions, Crocoduck, and it's not this one monolithic point of view that you are portraying. And I challenge anybody just to type in the philosophy of science, Google, and then read any article that you find, and you'll find it's a very complex issue, and there are lots of different shades of opinion, and it's certainly not as clear cut as you've made it out to be, that there is this objective science. It's very complex, and it's nowhere near as true as what you're saying. So those are just a few things that I've said, and I just thank you for making a video about me, Crocoduck. I think that it wasn't your best video. I think you're a very clever person. I think you've got a lot to offer. I think some of your videos that you've made, you show some brilliant touches of thinking, but I think you rushed this video, and I think you should have sat back a little bit, and you should have gone over it, over the quotes that I gave you, and gone over it in a bit more detail, and that would have done me justice, and it would have done you justice, because you are a very clever person. So I'll leave you with that, Crocoduck. I'll leave you with some references and links, and I hope you read them, and I hope you find them a blessing to you. And on the homophobic, in your video said I'm homophobic. I'm not homophobic. My sister's gay, a lesbian. I've got no problem with gay and lesbian people. The only problem is if someone tries to make me believe something, accept something that my conscience doesn't accept, I've got a problem with that, and that's the problem that I have with gay rights. People can go and do their gay rights and do whatever they want in a nation. That's up to them. But the moment they say that I've got to believe it or accept it, then I've got a problem with that. And if they're telling other people they have to, I've got a problem with that. Okay? But if any gay people needed any help, I would help them and do anything I can for them. Okay? And if anybody was aggressive towards gay people in any way, I'd be the first to stand up for them. Okay? So those are my thoughts, really. Wish everybody best. Wish all the atheists best. Wish everybody who listens to the video all the best. I'll leave some links to Karl Popper and Gadamer, Michael Polanyi, Kuhn, and epistemology. There's a great book I found on the history of 20th century philosophy of science and science, which I'm going to be reading. It looks really interesting. So I hope everybody's okay, and take care. God bless. Thank you. See you, Crocoduck. God bless, mate.